Aloha, welcome to BeaDazzle Hawaii. Today we're going to make this Kissing Sweetheart ring. I have a few styles here, but we're going to do one with 4mm Swarovski pearls in peach and coral, pink coral. I have a 20 gauge silver wire. It's 5 inches. That's sort of an average size. You'll want to adjust a little bit bigger or smaller. Maybe take a piece of thread, wrap it around your finger and see how much you'll need just for the ring part itself. Then on the ends we have 1 inch and 3/4 to work with for our hearts on both ends. So what I'm going to do first is string my pearls on. We have 4 pearls, and because our hearts are going to be opposite each other, we want to string the darker colors on the outside and the lighter in the center. I'm going to move them out of the way a little bit. And I'm going to use a mandrel, a ring mandrel, to shape my ring. I'm going to start out, like I said, this is an average size ring, but I'm going to start out a little bit higher just to give it the round shape. Crisscross. Because if you notice, when I release it, it gets a little bit bigger. So I'm still going to stay up here and push it around a little bit further, crisscrossing the wires, and remove it. We're not going to worry about exact fit yet, but it's pretty close. I'm going to push my pearls all the way until they stop, just to get them out of the way. And then I'm going to use bent nose plier. You can use a chain nose straight plier also. And I'm going to make the center of my heart. That's this little part here. I'm going to fold my end of my wire and make a V, almost touching. Same thing on the opposite side, the same length. Again, almost touching. And in order to make that little dip at the top nice and sharp, I'm going to actually squeeze it a little bit closed. When I unfold it, it'll have a nice indent. And this also keeps those beads in place. So in order to shape that point, I'm spreading it out a little. And I use a 3-step plier for this project. We're going to use the 3rd step, the inner step, the largest one, to form those rounded areas of the heart. So I bring it all the way down and in as far as it'll go. And pushing the ring, I'm going to work that wire around that step. And then I'm going to bring the loose end in just a little bit. that's the first one. Then we're going to do the same on the other side. If you need to, I'm going to pull this out a little bit. And again, I'm going to push on the loose end to bring the wire around the jaw of the plier and bring in both sides. So I've made a little rounded shape there, but it's lopsided. So I'm going to pull the point back out and shape this back around. And you can use the smaller step if you need to get in there tight, and just bring it in and out gently to create your shape. That's one heart, and then the same exact thing on the opposite side going in the opposite direction. I'm going to open up again, put our pliers in down to the third step, push around, and the loose end just a little, move the plier, and apply pressure again from the loose end side, a little bit on this side, form those bumps. Together. And the tips of your wire are going to hold those beads in place. Sort of like an open jump ring when the tips are close together. Now, before we fit the ring, I'm going to use my cute little anvil. And you'll notice it has different shapes, different sides you can work with. I'm going to actually use this rounded part that's meant to work on curved surfaces and rings especially. I'm going to put my ring on there. There's one thing you don't want to do is have your airspace under your wire when you're hitting it. So this brings the wire onto the mandrel, onto the anvil, nice and close. I'm using a chasing hammer with a domed face, and I'm going to gently tap as close to the center of my hammer and away from the edges of the anvil. And what that does is reinforce those shapes that we put in. And gives it a shiny finish. So that's a mirror flat surface finish. I'm going to turn it around now and use the ball end of the hammer, and again gently tap to give it an even more sparkly shine, sort of faceted. And you'll notice it spread out again. So all we're going to do is push everything back into place. ball end. And reposition the wire. Shape our heart. And I'm going to put a little bit of a curve here. I'm grabbing it top of the bump and just twisting a little bit inward and out again. You want to make small moves. In and out. Okay, then the last thing we want to do is reshape our ring. And I'm going to use the heavy mandrel with no lines on it, so we'll get a nice smooth finish. Bring it around. I'm going to size it for my index finger. That's pretty close. This ring is a little bit adjustable for different sizes by simply tightening it up or loosening it. You have about 1/4 of an inch to work with there. And it sits at a diagonal on the mandrel. So I'm just going to roll it over and grab hold of it. And I'm going to reinforce the back by using the flat side, dome side of the hammer. And gently tap. To the side. What the hammering does, besides giving it a nice finish, it hardens the metal a little. So it'll keep its shape better. And this is just for size. I'm tightening it around the mandrel with my fingers, pressing on the wire. Our Kissing Sweethearts ring. So I was wearing this one with one large 6mm pearl on each heart. This is the one we made. Here's a plain one with colored craft wire. This is a good wire to use when you're practicing. It's a little bit more flexible, easy to work with. And then we also have several other styles of rings we've made at BeaDazzle Hawaii. And you can give us a call to set up an appointment for a class in any of these styles. We have a butterfly and flower, double hearts with spirals, and this one's a heart with an arrow through it. So thank you for coming to BeaDazzle Hawaii today.